I guess. Um, didn't want to do this video, but I guess I have to. So we all knew about Colin Powell's passing. He passed a couple days ago, October the 18th, 2 days ago. So that would have been Tuesday. He had a blood cancer, myeloma or something. Tried to tell my family, they're like, "Oh, he didn't have no skin cancer." No, it's a blood disorder he had. I think he had some problems before. He was 84 years old when he passed, regardless. And there's people who I always talk about how Republicans, Fox News, and all that, they want to take things and twist them and make them something they're not. And how, they always want to try to squeeze value out of stuff. And much I didn't like Colin Powell, as much as he's one of the discussions that Jacobin kind of goes into of how, you have the plane with Obama, you had the rainbow stuff, and you had Black Lives Matter, but still a bomber. And then you had the Trump plane, you had still a plane. You can't greenify, you can't do any of that to the empire. It's still an empire. Colin Powell was an integral part of that empire and of its advance into the Middle East. I'm going to show you some pictures, and things like that. But he died at Walter Reed. He had a blood cancer, but he was fully vaccinated for COVID, which you'd expect him to be. I think he didn't quite agree with Trump on everything, and Trump said some things about him on here that I think were they're important to remember. Just another example of how despicable Trump really is, and how when people say they like what Trump, when they support him or they agree with him, that he's a despicable person, and if you support him, there's a good chance you are too. That's my point here. Yeah, Trump roasted him. This is Politico. Said basically Powell wasn't a hero; he was a fool. He called Powell a classic rhino, which is Republican in name only. Dragged us into the Iraq War and slagged the press for treating him in death so beautifully. Talking about, he called him a real stiff. I'm not going into all this. I thought it was nasty. I've talked about John McCain on here and how I may not have supported John McCain on many things he said and did. I think he was a pretty classy guy. When he was running back in, I think it was 2008 with Sarah Palin, and he was running, and he basically, one of his campaign stops, a woman was talking about he's a Muslim and he's gay and a bunch of stuff, and McCain said, no ma'am. And he went and took the mic. He said we may disagree on certain things, and I thought that was really classy. I thought it was really nice. Memory isn't the best from 2008 to 2011. You're talking about over a decade ago. Memory isn't the best, but I can tell you that I thought that was a pretty classy act. And I'm sure there's a lot of other Republicans out here who remember that. For better or for worse. And I think, looking back, that's how historically you haven't had the violence you've had with Trump, is you had people who were in politics who may have agreed with the other person, but still respected him. There was still respect. There was still decency. There's still the understanding that we're trying to make a better country. And I think that with Trump, you don't have that. You have a cruelty, a viciousness, a nastiness. In a certain kind of way, it is refreshing to see that Trump is just as nasty as he always was. And that nastiness isn't just for John, what's the brother that passed out of Maryland? John Lewis, I'm sorry. I didn't look it up. I knew it. John Lewis. It isn't just for people like him who were civil rights people, who talked about good trouble and the necessity of civil disobedience and all that. This is a person that got hurt. He got hurt in civil rights. head injury and things like that. And this isn't just that. That even when you take a black man who spent much of his life in the military, ain't no bigger coons for the most part than black men have been in the service. Everybody knows that, especially the way it was back then, the 70s, 60s. and take that and a man that worked his way up through the military and basically say, you still ain't, nothing. I think that's really, I think it's disgusting. I think it's nasty. And I think it speaks to the kind of character Trump possesses. It's low. It's not befitting that a man like that be uh, in high office, the presidency or elsewhere. Um, I think that he knocked on John McCain months after he died in 18. He talked about the former Michigan Democrat Representative John Dingell, only 10 months dead, was looking up from hell. Look, he was then him talking about calling the soldiers losers and suckers. I'm not going into all that stuff. It's low, and it's nasty, and it's despicable. And I know that one thing I learned with Trump is that for a lot of his supporters, they really are like making the left cry again, making liberal tear. There is a lot of that, but I think that if you got a president that basically makes his day to day talking points off of people that have made his party, I think that's self destructive in the long term. Because I grew up learning that legacy means something, that a man's legacy is his legacy. You respect that. You respect people's legacy and who they are and what they are. And Trump either doesn't understand that or just doesn't care. I mean, I don't know. Yeah. So this guy on Fox News, this is why I started it, because David Patman did a video about Colin Powell, and I thought it was something worthy of a video. I guess Colin Powell had this cancer and he died of COVID, even though he's vaccinated. People on Fox News jumped on board and they're like, "Oh well, we have to relook these vaccines," and it's like, dude, him having a blood cancer, that doesn't mean that the vaccine didn't work. That's just further indicative of how dangerous COVID really is. That's all it is. There's nothing. There's nothing else to that. That's the only thing that I get out of it is that, hey, like, COVID is real and this thing is a killer, and that it doesn't matter if you're most pandemics historically they hit on the poor, the bubonic plague and all that, them eating off of cardboard and stuff, and the rich eating off of silver and stuff. There's no doubt that historically, uh, you know, plagues and pandemics disproportionately affect the poor, disproportionately affect the lower classes who have to work in soup kitchens, and they're living in houses with multiple people. It's no doubt that that's a big factor in pandemics. COVID's different. COVID's different. COVID is different. That somebody can cough, and people on the other side of like these large offices, someone on the other side can get sick. People in a choir practice can get sick and die. This is different. And in that way, I kind of get how people think it could be a biological disorder or biological weapon. But what I'm hearing about Russia now, how bad they're getting it, I do a video on that, and just how I think they're having to do more shutdowns. People stay home this week from work. I mean, it's this is bad. This is really this. I can't see how Russia would willingly take that if China created it as a weapon and their allies. I can't see that. I can't see that. Anyway, I think that Colin Powell was a puppet for the military industrial complex, no doubt. As I said before, I don't like to put this idea of let's just get black people in there when they're bought and bred. That they're just as bloodthirsty as the white people. I don't get into that race stuff when it comes to military industrial complex, and their mechanisms and how they do things. Um, Once again, if Colin Powell died as a result of what we think, everything happened and what we think it happened, it doesn't take away from the vaccine or the masks. Because I think what they're trying. This is what they're trying to say. The masks don't work. Nothing works. Let's just go back to normal and ignore COVID, and eventually we'll have like chicken pox, where a bunch of people will get resistant to it. They'll build up an immunity to it, and the economy is more important than lives. I guess what they're saying there. We know that the immunity doesn't last very long, 6 months, I think, at the most. So that's a non-starter, total non-starter. Um, as well as it's reckless. This is not the America I believe in. That what I mean. I don't believe in that kind of America that you're lucky to have a job and you may die at your job and they'll just push your body aside and put someone else in there, and that we're just living to survive. That's not the America I believe in. And I'm realizing for a lot of people, they do believe in that. And they're willing to die. And it kind of makes me say, going into the future, if we had another pandemic, this is bad or worse than COVID, um, I kind of worry about some of these reactionary bigots and what they would do uh, in that type of situation. Would they try to like take over and establish, fascism? I don't know. The fact that so many people think this way uh, is bothersome. I get, the, oh, well, why are they opening strip clubs but closing up churches? And I've talked about it on here before. For convenience stores, they're talking about liquor stores. For a lot of convenience stores in the South, Alabama and them places, a lot of places out there where there's only one or two little small convenience stores in the area. And everybody eats from those stores. And guess what? Those are also liquor stores. Yes. So yeah, they can buy liquor, but they can also come in and get them some food to survive. They can also get them cooking oil. They can also get flour and sugar. You understand? I understand for Fox News and for reactionary bigots. From day one, they've been just trying to dig to find evidence COVID isn't real, that the Democrats just created to make Trump look bad, and that this is all just, I guess, designed so they'll close up churches forever. That we want all the churches to be closed up forever, and that the vaccines got the mark of the beast in it, and that Democrats created COVID just to destroy the economy under Trump, when many of those same career politicians have businesses. They're millionaires. These aren't working stiffs that have been in the Senate 20 years, guys. These are millionaires. And you think they want to wreck the economy to make Trump look bad? This is insanity. This is insanity. And this is what we've been dealing with the last just about almost 2 years now. And it's terrifying to recognize you have so many people who are so profoundly stupid running around just trying to dig up any kind of evidence they can find to downplay the seriousness of a pandemic that has killed millions, and it has evolved and is mutating and is still mutating. I read something today, they got another mutation just came out. All right. Delta variant has mutation, it's worrying experts. We know so far. I read it this morning. They're calling it AY.4.2, the new Delta Plus variant. This thing is mutating. This thing ain't going away no time soon. And we should have no reason to believe it is going away anytime soon. It is disturbing to me to know you live and work and exist among people who are so profoundly stupid, willfully stupid, and that their advice will contribute to deaths. This ain't politics. This is viciousness and cruelty. And as I said before, to say that because General Colin Powell, at 84 years old, had COVID vaccines, died anyway, had blood cancer, that somehow that means that the vaccine's no good. He's elderly. He's in the upper range, which means he was going to be in danger anyway. Secondly, the vaccine don't mean you won't get sick, stupid. Who knows? He might not have been masking. Who know? I don't know what he was doing. We don't even know all this. I don't even care about all that. We don't know if he was masking or using protective. He might have just got the shot and been like, look, man. Okay, I remember how my grandfather was. Look, man, I'm elderly. I just want to spend time with my family. I want to eat my meals. I just want to ride in the car. He might have been like that in his last days. We don't know. You know, they're in the they're coming down the mountain. They're at the top of the mountain. Excuse me. Well, no, they're coming down the mountain at that age. Excuse me. So you like I said, he's at the upper age. The vaccine doesn't mean you won't get sick. It's just something that you're less likely to have to go to the hospital. And thirdly, he had comorbidities. He had blood cancer. It's just shocking to me to know there's people who can overlook all of the extenuating factors that would lead to this distinguished gentleman's death. And they go on television. And it gets me too because Fox News is supposed to be like pro-military, pro-soldier, patriot. And then like when these people die, like they don't even, I mean, my thing with all this, Herman Cain, his passing, and no one said anything about that. They downplayed the pandemic as he was dying on the social media, letting Kanye West act a fool. All this stuff just shows you how desperate, profoundly desperate these folks really are to make a point, even if they're not making any point at all. I don't wish no harm to Colin Powell's family. I pray his soul finds peace. But I felt it was necessary to clarify and to make clear the lies told in regards to his untimely passing. Thank you for listening.